let's go straight to our top story this morning. And in Clapham in South London, there has been an attack with a corrosive substance affecting a mother and her 2 children who were rushed to hospital after the substance was thrown at them.
Police were called to the scene around 7:30 last night. 9 people in total have been injured.
OK, let's go straight to the scene. We're joined by talkTV correspondent Holly Hudson. Holly, this sounds like a truly horrific attack. What more can you tell us?
Well, the police cordon just behind me here has been lifted this morning, and in fact officers have been washing off the cars and the streets to try and get rid of this suspected corrosive substance. As people here on Lessar Avenue in Clapham in southwest London set about starting their day after, as you rightly put it, what has been described as a traumatising, horrific and awful scene here last night. Now, what we know so far is what the Metropolitan Police have told us. We know that emergency crews rushed to the scene here around 7:30 p.m. last night to what the fire brigade described as a chemical incident and what police described as reports of a suspected corrosive substance being thrown. Now, 9 people injured in total, the force says, including a mother and her 2 children. 3 people who it's believed tried to come to her aid, 3 adults and 3 police officers who sustained minor injuries, 3 police officers who responded to those calls. Now, no update as yet on their condition or the extent of their injuries. Police, of course, also saying that a man was seen fleeing the scene and a manhunt is now underway, a desperate search now underway. Also, they say they're drawing on all resources to try and find him, calling on eyewitnesses to come forward. And a number of eyewitnesses here on Lessar Avenue have told me, have spoken of what they saw and heard last night. We've in fact heard as well from Marina Ahmed, the Labour London Assembly member for Lambeth and Southwark, who tweeted last night to say there's been a traffic collision with a man assaulting occupants in a car and throwing acid, victims including children. And a number of eyewitnesses have reported seeing the same thing. One man, in fact, saying that there was a man in a car behind me here with children, and one of whom he grabbed and threw onto the pavement. He said that he, in fact, chased the attacker down the street and came back to help the mother and gave her water, who was screaming, "My eyes, my eyes." Now, as I say, no update as yet on her condition. Police drawing on all their resources, tests ongoing to determine what that corrosive substance might be. All the while, people here in Clapham in southwest London this morning in shock. We've had a joint statement from officials simply saying that they are all in shock and disbelief at what has happened.
Holly, thank you very much indeed. And of course, our thoughts are with all the people who were injured in that attack. We're joined now by former senior investigating officer at the Metropolitan Police, Simon Harding. Simon, the suspect is still on the loose this morning. First of all, let's talk about what the police might be doing to locate him.
Yeah, obviously, we don't know if the parties are known to each other, and that's one of the things. You know, you get an indication perhaps that the 2 parties might be known, but you start with the car, obviously, where you have the registration number, you might have details on property of the owner, if he is one of the persons in the car, and obviously speaking to those that are involved. I mean, the female that's been injured, and obviously the kids that seem quite young, but speaking to the woman to find out if she knows who he is, and if not, then you're looking at CCTV and all sorts of other things. Really, this is a really serious incident, a really major inquiry. So there'll be a lot of resources thrown at this by the Met. To find out who he is before he does this to somebody else.
Simon, thank you so much for joining us. I think there'll be lots of questions about what this corrosive substance was and how easy it is for people to buy it, to secure it, to take it around largely undetected. I know that a few years ago we were talking about attacks with substances like this on a fairly frequent basis. How common is an attack when a fluid like that's used?
Fortunately, not that common. I mean, yeah, we've had some, very high-profile cases, and Katie Piper and people like that who have had acid put into their face, and some incidents back in southwest London many years ago where somebody went into a pub and sprayed a lot of people. So, it is very, very rare, but it is such a weapon. And obviously, when you talk about being available, well, it is available because it's, some of these things are household items that you can buy that can be very corrosive in this way. So it's just, using that as a weapon is is really, really upsetting, because it's devastating to people. And probably what you're seeing there is a lot of people that have come to help have got acid on them by, you know, just by helping. So, and probably the cops as well, who you know, that happened to them as well. So I think you know, it's something which is life changing, and that's where we hope that the injuries aren't too serious to everybody involved.
What are the motivations for people carrying around these kind of corrosive substances? I mean, is it seem to be easier to conceal than more obvious weapons like knives or firearms?
I mean, it's a weapon like anything else, isn't it? You know, if it's in a container that you cannot, you know, you wouldn't normally stop and say, what have you got that for? You know, people used to carry them in these little lemon bottles years ago. You know, the ones that used to get your lemon juice in and things like that was a sort of weapon of choice many years ago. But it's just something which is very, very difficult to detect, obviously, and you know, if you're using that, then you've got something seriously wrong with you if you think that's something that you can carry around and use randomly like that. And if they're not known to each other, that makes it, you know, levels it up again, really, because you've got a stranger walking around doing this to people, and also the actions that you saw, or you're being told that he did at the scene, by picking up a child who's 2 or 3 years old and throwing them onto the floor. So, you know, this person will be we want to get this person as quickly as possible, obviously, and the Met will. This manhunt will be a very, very big occasion for them to get him.
Yeah, presumably desperately looking for him. What kind of procedures and operations will be underway right now to, first of all, apprehend them, but also investigate as quickly as possible? We've seen from Holly there the cordon's been removed, what the substance was and where it was bought and how it was used.
Yeah, it's difficult to say where it's bought until you find him. Right? I mean, you know, the focus is about him first of all. You know, they'll be looking at CCTV, trying to, you know, when he runs away from Lessar Road, then they've got to try and find where he's gone next. You know, has he gone onto any of the public transport? You know, has he used an Oyster card? All these sort of things. You know, obviously, if they don't know who he is, it makes it more difficult to identify a person running through the streets. Yeah. But you know, they will try and all CCTV they can to try and find out where he's gone. You know, has he got into another car or whatever it might be? So that would be one of the focuses. You know, if they are known to the other party and they have said who he is, then they will be using all the information they have about that person to try and find him. So his finances, and understanding if he's using his finances anywhere else, and to try and find out where he is currently. And then speaking to anybody that might know him as well, to find out if he's putting his head down somewhere that they can try and speak to. So, you know, there's so many different things, methodology that the police will use to try and find him, and I can guarantee you that there'll be a lot of people involved in this.
And when we get updates, we'll bring them to you here. Simon, for the meantime, thank you so much.